We are so back, it's crazy how back we are. UFC 324 takes place this weekend, and in this video, I'm going to be giving you my predictions for how I think every fight is going to play out on the entire card. So without further ado, let's get into the picks. First off, I know it's 2026, but I do want to go over how I did in 2025. The last card of the year was UFC Vegas 112, and let's just say, let's leave the past in the past, all right? Moving forward, we're not going to be picking Morgan Charrier, Lance Gibson Jr., Neil Magny, Isaac Thompson, Teresa Bleda. These fighters will not be picked on this channel moving forward. They are the reason I went 6-6 and had a horrific end to the year with picks. However, with the wagers, you might think I was down infinite piles. I actually profited 4.26 units. It's crazy how that works. That's why you gotta tune into the picks video as well as the wager video, which drops every Friday. I go over every single wager I put in. Hopefully we can snipe some lines this Friday, but for now, let's go over my picks for the entire card. We're gonna be doing things a little differently here at Finn's Chats MMA. Rather than me waxing poetic about every single fight on the card for 5+ minutes, I'm just going to go ahead and say that some of these fights are foregone conclusions. What I mean by that is I think that there's just no way that the favorites in these fights can lose. And if they do lose, there's simply nothing my analysis would have brought up that would have made them lose. With that being said, the first foregone conclusion is Ty Miller taking on Adam Fugit. 12-year age gap. Ty Miller coming off of a very good performance on the Contender Series. Ty Miller should go out there and KO Adam Fugit in round 1. He's one of the most chinniest guys on the roster. He doesn't really have good grappling. Ty Miller's going to be way longer, way taller. He should knock him out in round number 1, which is why I'm picking Ty Miller by round 1 knockout. Another foregone conclusion is Ateba Gauthier taking on Andre Puliev. Don't get me wrong. Andre Puliev, he's a pretty good fighter. He's got good cardio. He's got a good clinch game, knees and elbows, but his overall striking is mid. His grappling is mid. His submission skills are mid. Ateba Gauthier, the only way I would pick against him is if I think that his opponent can take him down relentlessly at will, and I don't think Andre Puliev's going to do that, so I'm going with Ateba Gauthier to win this by knockout. Another foregone conclusion, I think, is Josh Hockett taking on Denzel Freeman. I mean, Josh Hockett should simply run through this man. He's way more deadly on the feet. He's got way better takedowns and way better grappling than Denzel Freeman. He literally covers him in every area of MMA that you can cover someone. However, it is heavyweight slop. 2 unranked heavyweights. Denzel does have a reach advantage. However, his UFC performance that I've seen, he did nothing. He did a whole lot of no takedowns, no power in his strikes. I gotta go Josh Hockett to finish this guy in round number 1. Another fight I think is a foregone conclusion is Umar Nurmagomedov taking on Deiveson Figueiredo. I mean, the odds, minus 1,500 for Umar Nurmagomedov. You think I'm gonna sit here on this channel and make a case for Deiveson Figueiredo for 5 minutes? No, that is not what I'm going to do. Umar is 8 years younger. Umar is going to take him down relentlessly for the entire 15 minutes. I did pick Mario Batista against Umar because I thought Mario Batista, maybe his striking would do good against Umar. Maybe he can get his own takedowns on Umar. But Figueiredo, he's not going to take down Umar. He's not going to land a big shot on him. Umar Nurmagomedov wins by any means necessary. I'm going to say Umar by decision is the official pick. So you've seen the foregone conclusions. Well, here are some matchups that I just think are funny. The way they got set up, the stakes that are involved, I just think they're funny matchups. The first one being Michael Johnson taking on Alexander Hernandez. We have a 3-fight win streak for Michael Johnson, who's 39 years old. And we have a 4-fight win streak for Alexander Hernandez, who's 33, who's been in the UFC since I was in elementary school, which I'm not going to date myself, but that was a while ago. So, Unk versus Unk. Alexander Hernandez, I've never liked his style. He always darts around the cage and he looks for the big shot. It has been working recently. He has found the big shot. He's gotten back-to-back KO wins, I believe, against Diego Ferreira, against Chase Hooper. Prior to that, he was winning split decisions against Austin Hubbard. That's not a good look. Michael Johnson, on the other hand, he doesn't really need to land the big shot. He can just points fight his way to a decision. So I think Michael Johnson actually is a good underdog to pick this week. I think if he just avoids getting knocked out cold by Hernandez, he's going to have every path available to win. So I'm going with Michael Johnson. Another funny matchup, I think, is Nikita Krylov taking on Modestas Bukauskas, because we have a situation where Modestas Bukauskas is one fight win away from being on a 5-fight winning streak inside of the UFC. This is the same guy that got slept on the feet by Vitor Petrino. This is the same guy who Khalil Roundtree destroyed his leg against. Modestas Bukauskas, his career resurgence needs to be studied in a lab. Nikita Krylov, on the other hand, his career downfall needs to be studied in a lab. The way these guys' careers are going is almost a mirror image reverse of each other. Modestas, out of nowhere, got his career out of the doldrums and is now on his way to being in the top 10. Krylov was historically a top 10 light heavyweight, and his recent performances have been utterly horrific. Modestas' weakness is takedowns, is getting grappled, is getting submitted. Can Nikita Krylov do that? Well, that's all he does. However, in his recent fights, he just punches with his chin in the air. He's not really shooting for takedowns as much as I'd like him to do. Modestas Bukauskas is most likely going to sleep Nikita Krylov. I'm picking Modestas Bukauskas to win by decision, but I would not be surprised to see a finish come out of Modestas, considering Krylov, I believe, has been finished in back-to-back fights since his return. And you can't talk about funny matchups without mentioning Ricky Turcios versus Cameron Smotherman. Both of these guys are on 2-fight losing streaks in the UFC. I'm not sure how Ricky Turcios is even still signed to the roster. He's not throwing with power. He's not really having the best submission chops. He's not going out there fighting for your money. He's an underdog this week, but he's not the type that really cares that he's an underdog. He's more looking like he's trying to get a paycheck. Cameron Smotherman, on the other hand, it looks like he's at least trying. All right? I know his takedown defense is awful, and Ricky Turcios has a very clear path to victory if he shoots for takedowns in this fight. But Smotherman against Jake Hadley, you know, Hadley wasn't getting the takedowns going. Smotherman looked like a world-class striker. So I think if this stays standing, Smotherman is the better striker. For UFC career-wise, I would like to see Cameron Smotherman win, because Ricky Turcios, I know his ceiling is not that high. Smotherman, at least, if he gets his takedown defense going, he might do well later on. So I'm going with Cameron Smotherman, mainly out of bias, because I dislike Ricky Turcios, to win this by decision. Gather the popcorn, gather your friends, get by a fireplace, because this is the sheep pick of the week. This is the one fighter I see everyone and their grandma taking, betting, wagering, picking. They want this fighter to win so badly that I just simply think the odds of them to win are diminishing by the second. The sheep pick for this week is going to be Charles Johnson going up against Alex Perez. You might be saying, Finns, why is Charles Johnson a sheep pick? Well, I have multitude of reasons for you. Like I said, everyone and their grandma is picking Charles Johnson to win. Right off the bat, I don't like that. Also, flyweight fights are notoriously very close. Charles Johnson is not knocking people out. I know he knocked out Josh Van, but more often than not, Charles Johnson is winning a very razor-close decision. Alex Perez, as well, goes to extremely close fights with very, very good flyweights. Alex Perez also, he notoriously wins early rounds, like rounds 1 and 2, and he usually blows the fight in round 3. Charles Johnson, on the other hand, usually blows the fight in rounds 1 and 2 and wins in round 3. So it's really an immovable object versus an unstoppable force in this matchup. Also, Perez, he mixes in over 2 takedowns per 15 minutes. And Charles Johnson, if there's one thing we know about him, he does not deal with takedowns well. Also, look at the Tapology picks. 86% of people are picking Charles Johnson. However, you look at the wagering line, Charles Johnson is minus 205. And I've been looking all week, and that line has not been moving whatsoever. Everyone's taking Charles Johnson, but the real money, the prediction markets, Kalshi, Poly Market, you name it, Their lines are not moving. What does that tell us? It tells us that the sheep are supporting Charles Johnson, but the money is supporting Alex Perez. With all that being said, just because it's a sheep pick doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to go against it. So I'm also taking Charles Johnson by decision. You know, I just made a case why you shouldn't be taking him because everyone else is. But even with all this being said, I'm falling into the sheep trap. I'm going with Charles Johnson. I can't help myself. I love the guy. I want to see him do well in the UFC. His character is very familial, very loving, very cool guy. So, not the best analysis to take Charles Johnson, but I think he has a very good chance to win, and I'm still backing my guy. If you're liking the video so far, make sure you leave a like and tell me in the comments who you got in the main event, Paddy, Pimblett, or Justin Gaethje. If you've been watching this channel for a while now, you would know Paddy Pimblett and I actually had beef in the past when I made a video about Michael Chandler dusting him, and it turns out Paddy dusted him. That kind of got my channel a little lift off, a little spark back then. So let me know in the comments who you got in the main. Now we're back to the more traditional style of breaking down fights, with the first fight of the main card being Arnold Allen taking on Gene Silva. Everyone and their grandma is on Gene Silva this week. I understand. He throws with more volume. He throws with more power. The UFC hype train is behind him. Every advertisement you see for UFC 324 includes Gene Silva, even though he's simply just opening the main card. He's not the co-main event. He's not the main event. Everything is behind Gene Silva to win this fight. However, I just can't keep thinking that he took a lot of damage 4 months ago from Diego Lopez. He's taking this fight on a 4-month turnaround against Arnold Allen, who is no slouch. Arnold Allen has fought the better brand of competition. He's going to be the taller, longer fighter in this matchup. He's 9-3 to the decision. Gene Silva is 1-2. Arnold Allen's never been finished. Gene Silva's main path to victory in this matchup is to finish Arnold Allen. Do I think he can do that? Yes. Are the odds likely for him to do that? I would say no. Considering Allen's never been finished, he's a way better minute winner. Gene Silva is the way better moment winner. If this goes to the scorecards, which I think it will at a very high clip, I can't help but think that Arnold Allen has enough in the tank to defeat a guy like Gene Silva. I think he can keep this fight insanely close at plus 215 odds. I think that's worthy of a stab. I think that's worthy of a pick. He hasn't fought in 17 months. That is my biggest cause for concern. But outside of that, I don't see Gene Silva KOing this man. So if I don't see that, I kind of have to go with Arnold Allen, don't I? Next fight we got is Natalia Silva taking on Rose Namajunas. I would be picking Rose Namajunas here if I thought that she could get takedowns at a high clip against Natalia Silva, because she's plus 310. Women's underdog. She's a former champ. I should be taking Rose Namajunas. However, this applied in Natalia Silva's last fight as well, against Alexa Grasso. Alexa Grasso was the underdog. Alexa Grasso was a former champ. Alexa Grasso can also mix in takedowns, and what did Natalia Silva do against her? She put on a 3-round striking masterclass. So that being said, if Silva can run through Alexa Grasso, who at this point in their careers, I think Alexa Grasso is a better flyweight than Rose Namajunas, I don't see how I can be taking Rose here. If she just beats someone who has the same archetype as Rose, she should be beating Rose. So I'm going with Natalia Silva to win this fight by decision. I think she's just going to simply outstrike, outland Rose, maybe even land something big that turns around in her favor. Next fight on the card is Waldo Cortes-Acosta taking on Derrick Lewis. This should be a cakewalk fight for Waldo Cortes-Acosta. I mean, Derrick Lewis, you look at his performances recently where he's won, it is straight up memeville. I don't understand how he's winning these fights. I mean, he has no lateral movement whatsoever. He has like 3 bursts of energy in the entire fight, and if you can just outlast those 3 bursts of energy from Derrick Lewis, you will either KO him on the feet, you'll either be able to take him down very easily and submit him, or you can just easily points fight your way to a decision. Derrick Lewis is going to have 3 instances where he blitzes at Waldo, and those 3 instances are going to be scary for people that have money on Waldo. But if Waldo just avoids the big shot when those blitzes do happen, he's going to win the fight insanely easily. He's just going to dart around Derrick Lewis for 15 minutes, land his jab, land the cross at some point, and win. I wouldn't be surprised if he takes down Derrick Lewis and submits him. I wouldn't be surprised if he lands a big shot on Lewis in the second round when Lewis is gassed. With all that being said, another one of my more lockier picks on the card, I'm going with Waldo Cortes-Acosta to win this fight by decision. I just think he's the way better MMA fighter. Derrick Lewis has no plan B if his striking is getting outstruck, so give me Waldo here. Next fight on the card is Sean O'Malley taking on Song Yadong. I would be taking Song Yadong if I thought he would have a lot of takedown success. When I first broke down this fight, I thought he would, but upon further evaluation, this guy Song Yadong has not landed more than 2 takedowns in a single UFC fight. He's had over 10 UFC fights. Not one of them has he landed more than 2 takedowns. He's going to need to land more than 2 takedowns against Sean O'Malley to beat Sean O'Malley, considering Sean O'Malley throws with more volume, throws with more power, throws with more accuracy. Sean O'Malley is the way better striker. So if this stays standing, Song Yadong is cooked. If Song Yadong gets takedowns going, he might have a chance to win, but I just don't see the takedowns happening, so I'm going with Sean O'Malley to win this by decision. Another one of my more lockier picks on the card I like is this fight straight up to go the distance. Maybe Song Yadong can win a round on the scorecards. I highly doubt it. I think Sean O'Malley is just going to style on him for 15 minutes. I don't think he's going to finish Yadong, so fight to end by decision. Low-key a sneaky take. And the main event, we got Justin Gaethje taking on Paddy Pimblett. Justin Gaethje, can he win this fight? Anybody? I don't see a path. I don't see a path to victory for Justin Gaethje. I mean, he will be the better striker. So if Paddy Pimblett does what he did against Michael Chandler, which is stay standing and not shoot for takedowns, I think Justin Gaethje could win. But even if that happens, I think Paddy Pimblett might just be the better striker at this point in his career. Justin Gaethje, I think he's over the hill. I think his chin is made of glass. I think Paddy Pimblett throws with heat. So Paddy Pimblett can low-key touch the chin of Gaethje, I think, in this fight and knock him out on the feet. Justin Gaethje also blocks head kicks with his head. So if Paddy Pimblett did what he did against Chandler, which was throw a lot of kicks to the body, a lot of kicks to the legs, a lot of kicks to the head, I think he can even knock out Justin Gaethje. I think if Paddy Pimblett shoots for takedowns, he's going to make this look really easy. And if he decides to keep it standing, it will be a little harder for Paddy to win. But ultimately, I still think Paddy wins. I'm going with Paddy Pimblett to win this by submission. And here are my most confident takes of the card. If you've been paying attention, these have been hitting at an extraordinarily high clip. Let's get into it. First one is Ty Miller to win. I mean, Adam Fugit. I mean, come on now. Adam Fugit, first fight of the Paramount era. Adam Fugit plus 400 underdog gonna win? I don't think so. I'm tempted Gauthier money line. Yeah, I love Andre Puliev. He has been picked on this channel before. He has made my followers some money, but yeah, Teba should just run through him. Natalia Silva money line. If Rose doesn't get takedowns going, she's cooked, and Silva has done better against better grapplers, so Silva should win. Waldo Cortes-Acosta money line. It is heavyweight, so there is a chance Derrick Lewis just boom, lands that big Derrick Lewis-esque punch, but outside of that, Waldo has every path to win. I don't see him losing. Sean O'Malley by decision. Listen, I think Sean O'Malley wins. I think he's a good parlay piece, but if you want to take it a step further and don't have to parlay him, I'm pretty sure you can get plus money on his decision prop, which I think will most probably hit. So, yeah. Paddy Pimblett inside the distance. I sincerely doubt this fight goes all 5 rounds, number one. Number two, Paddy Pimblett, I think he has that Scouser chin that is uncrackable, at least other than Ilia Topuria. I don't think Gaethje is cracking his chin. And if Paddy wins, I think it's going to happen inside the distance. I think he's going to submit Gaethje, crack him on the chin. Yeah, I'm liking these confident takes. And my sneaky takes, this is basically every underdog that I think is going to win on the card. Maybe some high plus money props. You know, we had Mansur Abdul Malik by sub. That was sick. We had Kennedy Nzechukwu by decision. That should have cashed, but let's see what we got this week. We got Michael Johnson moneyline. Listen, Unk versus Unk. They're both on win streaks. You're giving me Michael Johnson at plus odds against a guy who needs to land one shot to win and has no other path to victory. I think that's a worthy dog shot from Michael Johnson. And we got Arnold Allen moneyline. This is just a pick and bet against the hype train of Gene Silva, against the fighting nerds. I think, he took way too much damage against Lopez. I think Arnold Allen's a very slept-on featherweight. I don't think he's no slouch. I think Arnold Allen at plus 200, that's worth a squeeze from yours truly, the Fins.